Hey ladies, okay, welcome to another lesson in macros. So today we're going to be talking about when to adjust your macros and the logic behind it. So basically, like, our strategy is to keep your calorie intake as high as humanly possible while still losing body fat. And this is why I recommend that you get body fat scans done every single week so that you have lots of data points that give us information of when we should adjust your macros. So the time to adjust your macros is when you have hit 2 to 3 body fat scans and you're either plateaued or you're moving in the wrong direction or you're gaining back body fat, okay? And if this is the case, then that means that it's time to make some sort of adjustment. Now, there's 2 adjustments we can make. One, we can change our actual macro ratios or the percentages of each macronutrient that we have, or we can just reduce your calorie intake overall, which will then consequently reduce each amount of each macro evenly across the board, okay? And what I recommend doing first is recompositioning. I'm trying to use big words and it's not working. Just kind of redistributing how your macros are set up. And so for most people, what ends up working is just reducing carb intake slightly. So we would then increase your fat intake and maybe increase your protein intake as well. So if you found yourself at a plateau for 2 or more weeks, then this is the first thing that I recommend. Take your carbohydrate intake, reduce it by about 10%. So for example, if you're eating 100 grams of carbs a day, you would reduce your carbohydrate intake by 10 grams, which is really small and insignificant, but it will make a difference in your body. And then you will increase your fat intake by 10% or a combination of your fat and protein intake by 10% to make up the calorie difference. So for example, if you're eating 50 grams of fat a day, you would do a 10% fat increase, which would be 5 grams. Or you could raise by like 2.5 grams and then raise by, a few grams of protein as well. I think it'd be 8 grams of protein. So you can do that math on paper on your own, but I like to do 10% increases. Yes, it's slow, but I think it's better to move slow and slowly change the temperature of your fat loss than to make drastic changes, which then makes drastic changes in your hormones and in your body. Now, what's key for this, obviously, is making sure that you're actually hitting your numbers and being consistent with your tracking, because if you're inconsistent with the tracking, then these small changes actually don't make any difference because you're inconsistent to begin with. So if you are hitting a plateau, oftentimes you just need to get a little bit more accurate with your stuff. So that means actually measuring your food, actually tracking everything you eat, being honest about your serving sizes, and as long as all of that's in check, then you can begin to decrease your carbs by 10%, increase your combination of fats and proteins, or just your fats by 10%. So that's how you make an adjustment.